anything that you've done prior, any of your mistakes, any of your battles that you've gone through, just you can change the outcome of your future.
I got a woman that I'm excited to get home to every single day. I got peace in my house. Like, you know, you can talk all the smack you want, but we're living a damn good life.
All right, my friends, welcome to another episode of the Date Your Wife podcast. This is Gary G. White with my beautiful wife, Danielle. We have a guest. This is our very first time doing this show on Zoom.
Well,
What's that strange?
yeah, we've never done it virtual.
No.
But now we've gotten so many opportunities to connect with other people. I was like, yeah, let's do it.
So here we are, very first one coming at you with a couple. Interesting enough, I saw this couple on Instagram in Vegas. I still to this day do not know how I saw them. I was fucking around on Instagram in my For You likable section. Next thing I see this beautiful woman with this amazing looking man, and they're just rocking Vegas back and forth together. And I'm like, okay, that's a spicy couple. She's young, she's sassy. This guy's blasted. He looks like he's either a high rolling like drug dealer or he's a gambler. He's something. I mean, Max, she's definitely into him. He's definitely into her. And literally, that was all I thought. I couldn't even remember their names.
I think it's because Amber all of a sudden, literally the next week was like, "Hey, you guys want these on your podcast?" I'm like, "Yeah."
So we have the founders of Snap Supplements. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. Here we've got John and Naj. Najla. Is that always it? Najla.
Yeah, you got it right the first time. Najla.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that complex, but it's just different. So I called her Naj for the first year. It just made it easy. And by the way, it's Naj is kind of John spelled backwards. I just said that's stupid. When I say that, she says it's stupid. But anyways.
It is John backwards.
It is. No, it's John. Yeah. We just got to throw H in there. It's so weird. Anyways, yeah. She's the spicy one. She's the one that now they just say, they refer to me as Najla's husband. I'm like, yeah, my name is John, but they just know me by Najla's husband now. So that's who I am.
So let's go back. You two have been married for 5 years. Yes. And who saw who first? Like, where were you at and who saw who first?
All right. So we have two stories. We have the story we tell our Christian friends, which is a lie. And then we have the real story.
Can we hear both, please?
Christian friends. Imagine that.
By the way, he's the spicy one.
Oh,
I'm normal. But that's okay.
What do you mean normal? No, so I'm not. Hey, well, so yeah, she's more of an introvert. She says, I say she's an introvert out of convenience because she knows I'll just do it. You know, I'll just talk and whatever we got to do. So she's an introvert out of convenience, and sometimes I don't shut up. So if you guys need me to shut up, just say, show's over, John. Turn off the lights, and I'll be fine. So I met her. It was August 30th, the day before my birthday, 2016. I was going to, here's the true story. This is not the one I tell our Christian friend. I was going to my table at a nightclub for my birthday. And as I was walking in with the host, her and her friends were walking out. And I didn't see anybody else at that point, but I saw her and I was like, I jumped in front of her and said, no, wait, you can't leave. You can't go anywhere. She says, no, we've been here. We're ready to go home, whatever, me and my friends. And if you get to know me, I can be fairly persuasive. So I convinced her that the best move for her and her friends would be to come to my table. And they did. And that's how it all began. And then, of course, she fell in love instantly.
So now, what game was he spitting that actually got you to turn around and come back into the club? Like, what did he say to you?
What was it?
Actually, okay, let's
free drinks.
Let's talk about my perspective. So we had just walked out of this nightclub because I don't know, it just wasn't our vibe. It was literally like an in and out circle. So we walked out, we're trying to see what the next place we want to, check out. And John just comes up to me immediately, trying to talk to me, telling me I should come inside with him.
What do you mean trying? I was talking.
sorry, I don't know. Like, I can't leave my friends. I have to stay with them. He's like, just bring them. Just come. And
I was like, I'll take care of everybody tonight. So tell them everything's something about young girls at nightclubs. Everything's free. That was my pitch. That was the best pitch I had that night.
So the whole crew, how many on your crew rolled back to the table with you?
I think there was about 5 of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, it made me look really good too. It was me and all beautiful women. So either way, I was going to win. Either way, it was a winning night. So
you roll back to the table, and then this night transpires. Was it like right? It was on at the table, and you guys, okay, this is a match. You're feeling him, or was this John had to really put the work in for a few months of texting and having to work the system, or were you like head over heels right out of the gate?
she was fighting. I'm just going to tell you straight. She was kind of fighting the feeling. She didn't realize the vibe that she just wasn't catching it properly. I didn't know what was wrong with her, but I was persistent. I kept going.
He hates this part, that I don't remember much of him outside of the club until we get in there. He's in a full suit at this time, like full suit, nightclub 2016. That's kind of wild. Dress shoes, everything, that was just like.
I wore that suit to impress you.
Did you?
Yeah. That's my favorite suit.
It was a hip hop and R&B club as well. And he started dancing. He was dancing in his suit. So that's when I was like, what?
What do you mean what? Like,
what's going on here?
You mean what? Like, dang, that guy's got moves? Or are you saying what? Like, what the F?
It was just, interesting to see.
Interesting. Like, where is this podcast actually going?
Because first of all, you're in a suit. That's number one.
Okay, we got that part.
Number two, you're dancing. You're an older gentleman.
That was my
dancing.
My older gentleman. All right, my wife is an ageist. Well, let's talk about that sometime in this podcast.
It's like he kind of, got some moves in that little suit he got going on. And I was like,
now
some flavors coming out of this.
All right, now she's moving in the right direction. We can continue with the podcast.
What is your age difference?
23 years, 24.
Yeah, it depends on 23, 24. So I'm 54 and she's 30. She hates when I tell people.
So 24.
24.
Oh,
I had a count. I'm like, let me.
Oh yeah.
Danielle was 30 years old for a decade.
Yeah.
And then finally at 41, she's like,
fine.
I'm like super hot in my 40s. I was like, oh shit, we're finally acknowledging that we're not 41.
Yeah, I was like, okay, can't you say 30? It's fine.
Okay, so
I love that. I love that though, that you hit a certain point and you're like, dang, I look pretty good. Especially when you look around other people in your age group. You're like, what? You're like the queen of your age group.
Right. Then you start bragging about your age. You're like, actually, for my age, I look great.
it was a teeter totter.
I was at. We were going through TSA yesterday, and the TSA was that she was a very tall lady, and she looked like Megan Thee Stallion. But I let her know, like, I'm the tallest of the short people. So like, I'm tall for short people.
Okay, so let's go back to the club. So John's dancing. John's in a hip hop club. John, how many white guys that are your age are in a suit dancing at the hip hop club?
0.
I know, because I'm when we're there, I'm the only one too. So,
yeah.
I'm like,
it's like this weird fist bump thing for like an hour. You're like, I don't know.
It's a vibe. We got moves. John, I feel you. We go in and she'll be fine, just killing it. Then they're making fun of me. I'm like, what? I'm proud to be here. Let's go. What's wrong with you guys? Okay, so you're dancing. The club ends. You guys are gone. When does this become like a thing for you two? When do you become like an actual, okay, we're going to be serious and date each other? How much longer after the club?
Well, I saw him the next day on his birthday. And every single day, basically.
she was playing games a little bit though. Yeah.
I said I wasn't going to be ready for a relationship for 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, that's what she said to me. I'm like, 6 to 12 months. I'm like, lady, I ain't gonna. You think I'm waiting around for your ass? I mean, you're sexy, but like, I might not be here in a month. Like, I'm a hot commodity. I was trying to convince her, like, listen, if you don't get your stuff together, now I have her captive though. Now we're hanging out, we're at dinner, we're getting a chance to talk. So I was a gentleman. I was a gentleman. I I was really digging her. I was like, okay, this is different. And we're having great conversations. I talk a lot about business, being an entrepreneur. So we started having these conversations, and, she has a degree in speech pathology. And when we just started talking, that she was talking about her entrepreneurial, dreams and goals and things that she wants to do. And I'm like, oh, I said, be careful what you say to me. Because if we'll start a business together tomorrow, and you're going to hate your life for at least the first year.
Now, so were you an entrepreneur before you met John?
I did have a few online programs that I was running because I just became obsessed with health and wellness, fitness when I went to college. So that was kind of like my main thing that I'd like to focus on. And when we talked about creating something for Snap, I just thought it was literally perfect. It was perfect. It was what I love and breathe every single day already. And he's been into health since way before. He put me on probiotics, like a couple of other supplements that I just never knew to take in general. Like I was so concerned with like the outer, like the gym and all that stuff, maybe like certain foods in particular, but he put me on to like certain supplements.
Well, I had to offset all the damage I did in all the nightclubs that I had been going to for so many decades. So yeah, so health and wellness was a big common denominator for us that linked us incredibly well. And then it led to us eventually, starting now we started several companies together, but that one in particular kind of blew up.
So John, you've been married a couple times before that. What did you learn?
Third time's charm. Yeah.
What did you fuck up in the first two marriages? We have a whole bunch of guys listening to the show, by the way. Marriage number 2, marriage number 3, marriage number 4. Tons of entrepreneurs and wake up warrior guys that are like, they get stuck in a loop and then they come into our programs because they're trying to figure out how to knock in loop. It looks like you found your way out. When you go back, like what was prior to Najs coming into the picture, what did you learn about yourself as a man that shifted to allow yourself to bring this amazing moment into your life?
Looking back, it was always them. It was always her. It was never me. And I always had this kind of thing from my dad. My dad was a steel worker, man's man, and he ran the house with an iron fist. And it was always like, he's the head of the house, and he didn't get that. We all should have a say. We should all contribute. We just kind of ran the house. Great. I got my work ethic from my dad. He's completely softened up over the years. It's interesting to see, but I was like that. I was like, okay, I'm making the money. I'm out here grinding every day. I'm going at this thing. I wasn't considerate. I didn't think about anybody else. It was always, and that's what destroyed it. It was always my needs. It was what I wanted to do, how I wanted to do it. And, it took its toll. And then, infidelity obviously is not a good thing when you're married, when you have an agreement not to, see other people. And I kind of broke that contract. So I learned a lot. Like I used to say, I'm not a great person to give relationship advice, but now I realize I'm probably the right person because I can tell you exactly what you should never do in a relationship because I've done it multiple times and I paid a massive price. So, when you get slapped around and it's an emotional and financial beat down, I was like, okay, I'm slow, but I'm catching on that I just got to look in the mirror. These things that are things that I could prevent and I can do better going forward. So I guess that means I'm very.
These were things where we were not even, our generation, I'm 48, I'm born back in the pocket. You and I grew up in the same pocket, same world. Like we just weren't taught this shit. Like we all grew up with fathers who either like weren't there, were disconnected, or were just hard asses with everything. It was like they were two extremes, either just soft. My dad was soft and didn't exist. Like he just wasn't around. My mom was just lethal. And then my dad, or my the other side of the family was like totally different. Like her dad was like silent too. He was like hardcore, like man's man and like super intimidating construction guy. And like there was nothing. So we didn't even know. We watched this happen over and over. Like Najs and Danielle both, like the guy world was so different because everything was just make some money and that was it. And we should just get to do whatever the fuck we want.
Yeah. But you know what is interesting too? Even if you're a successful guy and you've gone through that so many times, you're like, oh shit, like you just said, like I kind of look in the mirror moment, and it's like, even if you're so successful, like the idea of like the man just gets to work and do whatever he wants. and then come back. Like there's a reason that doesn't work. You know, the woman doesn't feel seen or heard or safe or anything. And then ultimately that's not what the man wants. And so it's like, I feel like it kind of takes people both like taking, like you said, you're like, I'm going to do it right this time, because it like that model just doesn't work anymore. Like Garrett, I've had this conversation so many times. I'm like, no, you're not just going to pay the bills and take care of me. Like I need you. I need this time and this attention and this connection. And ultimately that's what he wants too. Right.
So Najla, you knew of the previous relationships coming into this. Were there concerns for you with the fact that you're with a guy who'd been down the path with 2 marriages, didn't work out? Like where was your head at in this process as you guys started getting more serious about being married?
I don't know. I wasn't intimidated by the fact that he had already been married. I think of it as a long-term relationship, just legally. I don't know. I didn't have any like bad ideas about it. I obviously met John's children. I love their children, and that's what he got out of those relationships. I just thought that, I don't know, him and I could grow something together that he didn't have with them. So I don't know.
Yeah, she really was. Like it didn't phase her. Like even when you guys ask me about I still am like apprehensive to say it in front of her, but it never, you know what I mean? It's weird. It never really phased her. Just like, you know, we both got a tattoo together at the same time, and it says your past does not equal your future. Well, you can't hardly see mine, but on hers you can, because that's supposed to look like that. But your past does not equal your future. And we both, when we came together, we both had our own past, just like everybody. We all got some stuff we don't want to talk about. We all did some things we're not proud of. And we had those conversations pretty early on, and it's like, all right, whatever. I got a short-term memory anyways. You know, let's roll. You know, let's go. Let's start from here, and let's not make those same mistakes again. And, you know, forget what we did in the past. And that was kind of, I believe for us, it was a thing that held us together, because we started running into issues like the black-white thing, the age gap thing. I didn't realize how brutal people could be and nasty, and I don't know how our relationship is controversial, because it just seems it flows so naturally in our house and when we're together. But yet you see a picture of us and all of a sudden they're coming at you hard, you know, talking crazy on social media. It's like, oh, that's really, really interesting.
That was literally. So number one, I'm like, Najla, you're beautiful. John, I can tell you are a fiery, like, look, I didn't know anything about you guys. And just seeing a video of you in Vegas together, I was like, oh, they're getting some shit. Those two are getting some shit from every direction. White people, black people, they're getting shit from all kinds of people. I guarantee it. That was the first thought. Right after I thought, amazing couple, spicy, good for them. The second thing I thought is, they're getting heat for this for sure. Because we take heat, and we're a little closer in age. We don't have the interracial thing going on. Najla, how has that been for you? Like, being with him, and that's it. That's like a topic that even has to be discussed. I mean, in the house, you guys are very comfortable together, very clear. Even in photos and videos, you two are like,
there's this connection, yeah.
Well, what's that been like for you? And then, John, same question for you.
Yeah, do you just tune out the noise because you know your connection?
At first, I used to get so sad and like cry and stuff, because I wasn't afraid to show my partner like online. So I was like, this is my man. I love him. So I would like post him all the time, and like people would just talk that shit. Mainly about the age gap at first. It was mainly the age gap at first. And then, I don't know, race started being an issue more recently.
Well, probably, yeah, with all the election stuff, it's just weird.
Yes. Probably in the last 5 years, it started to be more the race thing.
Wow.
Bigger.
So as those topics come up, John, like what's kind of every couple's got something. Like I run my mouth real loud online. Danielle and I have a very different way of seeing the world. We take a ton of shit from the Christian community. We take a ton of shit from a lot of people because of how we do life, how we parent, the things we permit with our kids, the things we don't, the way we play. So we've had to kind of come to ourselves in a way to try to figure out, hey, we're getting all this heat out here. People run their mouths, talking shit. We got people threatening us, showing up at the house, doing shit. So it pushed us together. For you two, and specifically John, like what have you guys found as a couple that's allowing you to take that heat? Because every power couple, by the way, takes it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter. Everybody's dynamic of why they take it is different, but society just is determined to take out powerful couples. Mm-hmm. So John, on your side, like, what do you guys do as a couple? When this stuff comes up, she's crying, she's feeling sad, you're feeling pissed, want to fuck people up for sure. I could guarantee it. How do you guys like handle this conversation like for each other?
Well, you said it. Like, my mandate is real simple. It's to protect and provide. That's what I feel like. That's what I do. That's what I'm supposed to do. So when some clown is on social media and calls her a bed wench, and I immediately go into fight mode, So, and then Najs started pointing out to me, she said, you're probably arguing with some 13-year-old punk. And like, I'm, talking shit with my thumbs because that's how I type. And we're going back and forth. And I would do this. I'd be up till 2 or 3 in the morning arguing with these clowns on social, TikTok. And I was prepared to do battle with everybody. But it was mainly when they would say stuff like, for me, I'm like, what, call me old, whatever. But I would see these people that call me old, and I'd go to their page and be like a 25-year-old dude with a beer belly, looks like he left his house and in forever, got a picture of him and his, cat. And that was, and this dude calling me old. I'm like, bro, you can't even go up a flight of stairs without being winded. And anyways, I challenge you to a duel. He'll be like, I'll play you in Call of Duty live. That's the only way he's beaten me at anything in life. And so I used to get in there, but I don't do it so much anymore. Now the only reason I'll do it now is because it gets the algorithm working in our favor. And since social media pays us, I'm like, all right, let me rile them up. It's funny, I had a lady hit me up. She said, man, this video from it's still trending on my For You page after 6 weeks. I said, you know why? Because I get them started and then they start going at each other in the comments. I'm watching the alerts. Yesterday, there was an MMA fighter who was talking on our behalf. He was like going to meet somebody in Ohio to go have a fist fight. I was like, this is social media. It's a cesspool of anger and hate. Because if I just post, like, all of our posts are really positive. Like, we don't post anything crazy. Like, it's all love and light. I show a lot of love for my wife and respect. And it's crazy how people show up when you're showing love for someone and trying to be a good example. They come out of the woodwork I guess the saying, misery loves company. Mm-hmm. There's no truer place to find that than on social media. And that's what we deal with. But you said it, and you said it would happen with you and Danielle. It's it fueled the fire to the point where I believe it brought us closer.
Yeah. It doesn't bother us anymore.
I used to hate how I'm like, I got over what people thought about me a long time ago. I'm like, talk about me good, talk about me bad, just talk about me. I don't care. Say whatever you want. You're not paying my bills. And so I was over it. I had a mentor by the name of Jeff Olson. He wrote the book, Slight Edge. And Jeff used to say, bro, why? When I was a kid, I was really young when I first met him. He's like, why do you care what these people think about you? He said, if you died, they're not showing up to your funeral. And if it rained, half the people that were going to come, they wouldn't come. It's like, stop worrying about this. And, we all have it to an extent, but I've shed a lot of that. Like, I don't give it what you think. I gotta keep moving. I got bills to pay. I got a woman that I'm excited to get home to every single day. I got peace in my house. Like, you can talk all the smack you want, but we're living a damn good life. And I want to keep it that way. And if you don't mess with her, then everything's good. Life is good. And all we want to do is we want to make money. We want to travel. I want to have sex 3-4 times a day. Oh, man, you need something. I'm like, bro, I don't need nothing. My wife.
Oh, we're going to get to that topic in a second.
I'm sorry. I got 18 5 other conditions, too. I'm jumping everywhere.
So, Najs, like when did you find for you that you could turn it off? Meaning you could just say, hey, we're going to do us. I'm not worried about as much. Not getting up. Like, there's one thing to like white knuckle it. I'm not going to worry about it. But then it's another thing, like internally, you kind of get good with yourself. Because I used to do the same thing. People talk shit to me. I'm like, whatever. They come at my wife. They come at my daughters.
I'm like, babe, I think you just made it worse.
Shit, like at the highest level. That finally calmed down for me a lot because of how she was guiding. And it sounds like same thing with you too. When was the switch for you as you're getting all this attention and you're getting a lot of heat too? When did it come internal for you?
Well, with a lot of his help, a lot of him talking to me and telling me like these people don't matter, they don't pay our bills, they're just haters, they're online keyboard warriors. Is that
yeah, keyboard boys.
Yeah, they're just they're not in our life So they shouldn't matter about what they say. So it did take me some time, but he was the one that jolted into my brain. And then I started to become like more not caring. I stopped caring as much. Every now and then I'll see a comment. I'm like, this stupid person. And I want to talk some shit. But I'm like, you know what?
She can be more brutal than me sometimes. I was like,
But-
hey, he didn't even say that much. And you just like lit him on fire.
Just one.
Proud of you, baby.
No, but it doesn't, a lot of it doesn't bother me as much anymore because of John. Like we had a lot of talks about who these people are and how they don't matter in our actual lives. So he's what calmed me down about the whole thing. And
All you really had to do, I started showing her like some of these people that would say stuff. And I said, just go look at their profiles. You don't have to go very far. I'm not, not trying to judge a book by a cover, but that's what they're doing for us. So let me show you who is upsetting you and who's ruining your night. And again, you go in there and you can't help but feel sorry for these people because you can tell they got the I don't know, that it's at least the perception is looking at their page. I certainly wouldn't want that life. And they clearly don't want it either. That's why they're on my page. And a man that's on my page talking crazy about another man's wife, to me, is not a man. That's a little boy in a man's body, I guess. But that's not a man. But I don't have time. Like I don't have time. Like I knew we were doing this podcast. I wouldn't look because I always do it to check out. But I ain't got time to go through all your posts, go in there and make all kinds of comments. And if I did, it would be positive. I'm like, bro, now I would have thought the age gap was a lot bigger with you two. But she told on herself and told the age. So, but
It's the beard.
When I grow the gray beard, I immediately go to 55. When I shave it down, I go back down to like 48. My wife will be like, see.
I'm like,
People
people are
think I'm
thinking the
sugar
gas.
baby.
I'm like, come on.
That's okay.
The damn hair color messed everything up. I said, but I went white so fast. I'm like, it was different. I used to bleach my hair when I was a kid. Now, but we try to do different hair color dyes, and
I just make it blonde when I make
it's
it
still white. And then
well, it's not
this.
blonde right now, but when I make it blonde, it just looks natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna talk shit.
How's John, you have kids, right? You said?
I do.
How is your family dynamic with your kids?
It's incredible. My daughters, they love Najla, and they contact her more than they contact me. So kids, if you're listening, call your daddy. Like you're supposed to. No, they contact her and for clothes, advice. Najla really she's an old soul. I say she's a homebody. Her and I are really the opposite. She likes to be home, chill. She likes to cook, do this stuff.
She looks like the wild one, but you're the wild one. She's just like she's your calm.
Yeah, she makes me go home at a like if I'm Miami, because Miami don't shut down. I'm like, well, it's not, the party's not over. She's like, bro, it's 3 a.m. Can we please go? I'm like trying to get to the other club that starts at 6. But yeah, so I'm always ready to rage. I'm always ready to rage. But she's been such a great mentor and guide for my kids, even though my kids they're her age, except for one of them. But I have a 15-year-old, and I have 2. Well, Jessica's 25. That's closer to your age. Anyway, so they click. It works great. And here's what's even crazier. I have 2 ex-wives that don't like me, but they sure do like her ass. And so it's like, wow, they are really nice ladies when you're around. It's really interesting. There's something about
magic power.
Well, it's like Garrett has a son from a previous marriage that's 25, and I feel like he will like text or call me more than he will call him. I'm like, because I'm the nice one, babe. I'm like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just here to like support you and give you ideas. I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm not trying to solve any of your problems. I'm here to just like be your friend and support you. So
yeah, and I think as guys, we're like solving problems or telling you, hey kid, get your shit together. This is what you need to do. And they don't always need that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's been fun to watch my son. He's 25, he's engaged, and through all his engagement and it's like any problems he's got going on, he like goes to her.
Yeah.
They'll go to lunch and they're hanging out and they're spending time, and it's great. I love it. It's like he started calling her mom. So his mother lives here too.
And then,
In Orange County, had moved down here from Canada. My son wasn't with him for 10 years of his life, and then came back into my world because she was fighting for me back in my world. We had our daughters, two of our daughters, and I was not. I just kind of unplugged. His mom lived in Canada, and when we separated, like he was 9 months, 10 months old, and I was like, goodbye. Wasn't the greatest move ever by man. And then she fought for him the whole time we were together. She's like, why are you not calling him? And she would push for it. And there was like a soul connection between him and Danielle. And that still exists like right now. My son and I are very connected now. But like at the beginning, he was just leaning at her. So I can see how it could happen with him as well the same way. Because there's like a different, like almost mentorship relationship that you can open up that's different than it can with the parents.
Yeah.
Right. Like massive influence on the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
That
does. I was gonna say that does show the security of a woman that's able to say, look, make this connection. Because sometimes, women can be very insecure about like another person entering the scene, whether it's a child or whatever. And that was part of some of the challenges in previous relationships. And it's like, this is my child. This is someone that should be in the world. And women tend to have better discernment, I think, too, than men, or at least in my world, that's the case.
Yeah, I think, I wanted to like fight for connection. I'm like, as a mom and as a woman, I just think that's important to have with your kid. So whether he's biologically mine or not, he should be in our world, and at least creating that space for kids to feel safe and like they have a friend or someone that they could talk to. And I'm sure, Najs, you've been that safe space for his kids to kind of come and connect. That's probably why they like you.
They do. Yeah, she'd always tell me, call your daughters. Because I'm running. Yeah. Like I can go days without eating when I'm in my zone. So I'm not thinking, I'm just all straight business. We got to get this shit done. Let's go. And she's always like, you have to call your kids.
You got to slow them down.
I think it's about a powerful role of a woman that plays in that position, but plays like a queen. Like plays from like a totally different frame of, hey, listen, this is part of our kingdom. So like, I need you. I love that you're at war, but we've got to bring you back in and realize that there's a thing inside of this that we're actually fighting for. And as fun as you are at war, we need to have this. That was a pursuit we were in. Danielle comes to me multiple times. And that's why there's such a big gap between our children, because like 8 years between our two oldest daughters are teenagers and our two toddlers, which was like the, can we still make this work years? Mm-hmm. Like, can we still do this? I made some really poor decisions. We've lost everything in banking. Our first empire was gone. And now we're like struggling to try to figure out life. And then we're struggling to try to figure out each other, plus struggling with two toddlers at the same time. It was just a really fucking intense moment. But along with that came these decisions. And these decisions led us to truth, which was the only thing we had was to tell the truth to each other. Yeah. As hard as that was. When you hear that, Najs, from your side, like knowing that you guys came into this, you came into a relationship with your past, with his past, you guys had this tattooed on your arm. Tell me more about the tattoo and what that actually means to you.
Well, first I got to say, you guys should do a podcast on dating and relationships. Like, dang, that was good. You just did a whole seminar there, brother. All right, go ahead.
It just represented things that I've done in my past, things that happened in my past that I wasn't proud of or just didn't really like or like to speak on. It represents how exactly what it says. Your past is not equal your future. So whatever you've done in your past, your future does not dictate anything that you've done prior, any of your mistakes, any of your battles that you've gone through. Just you can change the outcome of your future. And John put me on a lot of personal development as well. Just so many things I've grown since meeting him. So this tattoo means a lot to me.
My number one student. She, and because she was holding on to some things that were definitely keeping her from growing. And it was, this stuff already happened. Like, Are we talking about, like, this was years ago. Who cares? And who cares what people, again, like, I saw it holding her back from becoming the powerful person that she was. Because when she was around me, I saw power, I saw purpose, I saw passion, I saw all these things. I'm like, this woman, if she gets a few of these little things down, she's gonna be dangerous. Matter of fact, I didn't want her to get too dangerous because like if she really discovers who she is, she might not date me any longer. So I had to be careful in the early stages how much I fed.
That is so true because that goes both ways. I'm like, I want you to do good, but don't do too good where you think you're better than me.
We've gone back and forth with that. After our third daughter, my wife got bikini competitions and got super fit. I was 190 pounds and just surfing every day. Just lean and surfing, didn't really care about lifting weights. I hadn't been big since college playing football, and I just didn't care. And she's off in the fitness world. I'm not even seeing it happen outside of watching her power rise. I remember as a man, like feeling like, I mean, she's out of shit. That's how we got her pregnant 4th time.
Yeah.
She was actually pregnant on stage.
That was a surprise, baby.
And like 7 months pregnant, I was like, yeah, on stage competing, still won. And I was like, holy shit. I
literally came home from my 8th competition. I was like, you know, I'm pregnant. I'm like, no, I took a test 9 times, took 9 tests. And I was like, okay, I'm pregnant. We're done. You're getting snipped after this. Like, we're done. But
so that push, we watched it. And then when she got like encouraged me to take on fitness again in a different way. And I put on 37 pounds in 2 years and my world changed. There's a certainty that changed in both of us, which creates this weird shift. We call it push pull with us a couple, which one of us will like kind of skyrocket and the other one's like doing their thing and they kind of skyrocket fast.
Right.
And that creates kind of this weird anxiety in a good way if handled correctly, which is like, okay, I need to get my shit together and come up here with you. And they're going to pass and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Najs, you've like taken this on with like kind of almost being able to receive that. A lot of people can't. A lot of couples cannot receive coaching and support and in that way from their spouse. Like we've blown away at the number of couples we know that cannot happen. They just fight or like, fuck you, don't talk to me. I need to go talk to somebody else. What was it in your experience that allowed you to be so open to hearing what John was saying and sharing and being able to apply it? Because it took us a very long time.
Well, and mainly like, John, how did you say it to her? Because a lot of times, like when you're growing, you don't want to be like, you're broken, you're doing things wrong. You have to be encouraging to get them to like show their light. You know what I mean? Like she's super powerful. So it's like, almost like, how did you present this with her? With like, for her to like find herself, to find her inner voice, to just show up as this powerful person like you talk about.
Do you want to go?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you how I brought it. She is so hungry for growth. She was so hungry to learn. So it was easy. It was, and when we first met, I was doing a lot of speaking gigs. So there's a lot of, I'm hopping on a plane to go here, to go be on this stage. And so it's kind of I was kind of always in this sort of training mode. And so she would see me in preparation because there's that part and then the stage. And then she'd see me after. People want to hang out and, be your friend after that kind of stuff. So she got to see that. So there was points, sometimes the arguments would be, well, I see you teaching everybody else, but you ain't taught me shit. So, all right, sit down. Let me grab the whiteboard. Let me go grab the whiteboard. Sit down. Let's get into some training. But
I used to say that a lot.
Yeah, she was just so hungry for information. She's such a fast learner. So when she would pick something up, and then I realized because she was so hungry, she was taking the information. She was surpassing me in so many different areas. And in business, it was very helpful because now some of the things that I hated doing, she liked doing. She's super organized. She's really good with tech, those type of pieces. That's not me. So when we got in business together, it was really nice to have her handling some of this other stuff. I didn't even think about it. But yeah.
So Naj, you were in your growth mind. Talk about that for a bit, because again, this is a big challenge. Usually in a couple, you'll have one person who's seeking and the other one just kind of wants to maintain life as is. But you were pushing. Talk from your perspective what it was like to be involved in this in the beginning when you first married, first dating, and you're saying this. Like, what was it that was going on in you that had you want it?
Well, first of all, I was a huge introvert. I still am now, regardless of what he says. But
when this camera goes off, she is not an introvert.
Back then, I wouldn't have come on to this podcast.
There's no way.
There have been several in the past, like years ago, that I said no as well because
we've turned down good opportunities for like television shows, interviews, things like that in the past because she just refused, flat out said, I'm not doing it. I'm like, all right.
Don't like the extra.
She doesn't want.
people think
Give
that
me the
it's
camera all day long, but she's like, I don't. How do you not want it? It's
people
not, we
think
get
I'm
money from this shit.
different online. Whatever, I take photos, but like when it comes to public speaking or just like doing all this with people, I don't know. I just freak out, but I'm a lot better than I was before. So that was the main thing. I just wanted to be comfortable and confident in myself when I like just spoke in general. That and
But you did. She did those competitions too. So you put her in a bikini on stage in front of. She owns it. She was winning these shows, and then because our lifestyle was so different, she knew the only way for her to do that competition thing was to bamboozle me into doing the thing. So we trained together. 'Cause otherwise, I'm like, let's go to Vegas. Let's go, to Miami. Let's go party. Let's go to the south of France. Let's go party somewhere. And that's not good if you're you're going to be on a stage in a bikini, hanging out with John a lot, eating and drinking too much was not conducive. So they got me to do it. And what was crazy was 2 weeks before the show, I'm supposed to be in board show shorts, flexing like an idiot up there. I was in Vegas. It hit me. She calls me. She's like, I can't believe you're up at like 5 a.m. in Vegas and you have a show to do in 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, oh, you're right. Anyways, that was the scariest shit I ever did. Like, you put me in a suit on stage or whatever, jeans, I'm good. Put me in board shorts and my shirt off, flexing in front of people. I was like, I'll never do this again as long as I live.
So she pushes you in a different way. But you know what, though? I think that's so great, Naja, that you're showing up and doing these podcasts and speaking. Because honestly, 10 years ago, I was the same way. I was like, you are not putting me on a stage. I am not doing podcasts. And the person I become and the ability to speak and communicate to people has gone through the roof. And also it's brought us closer together. So now like we'll get invited for business opportunities and they're not just asking for Garrett. They're like, bring your wife. And I'm like, see, babe, like, I love that you're asking for both of us. So keep doing it because you'll grow as an individual and you'll grow together as a couple and you'll get to do life together in business. And that's what's fun. And you're both can always have your strengths and push and pull each other. But ultimately, like what's uncomfortable for him, he got on stage and did it. And so now you're like, okay, I'm going to take these opportunities. Like I would just encourage you guys, like keep doing that because it's done a ton for us together in our relationship and just continuing to grow together.
People hear Big Peter now speak. And like, we'll be on stage 5,000-6,000 people and she'll just crush. Or we're doing podcasts and she crushes. Or she runs her own show, Danielle K. White, and has like a lineup of guests that are on the show. And I'm telling you right now.
And I'm nervous every fucking time.
She was just like you. Beautiful woman. Wants to be my partner. Wants to be in the mix. And I would say, hey, I want you to come be on the show. No, this is your dream, not mine. Yeah. No. Okay, hey, come speak in the phone. Absolutely.
I'm like, I don't speak.
Hey, come be on this podcast. That's a fuck no. I'm not doing that. No way. Then people see her now and they're like, how? I'm like, go back when we get on the show, go back and look at some shows from the Big Your Wife podcast from 5 years ago. You'll see this like cute fashion people. I was saying,
I just say nothing. I just sit there and smile.
That's me sometimes.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
I hate it.
We would do a Zoom every Tuesday night for our affiliates that were all over the world, and we did this for years. And that's basically what Najs would do. She would sit next to me.
I hate it.
And say nothing. And then later she say she hated it, but then I say, well then fuck it. Then I get mad. I'm like, well then don't be on the next one. And then next one, she would.
I didn't want to do it.
I would get all set up, and I like, come on. But then she started saying stuff.
Yeah.
And then we got her doing some trainings that she was comfortable with. And as long as she was prepared, like me, I'll do stuff off the cuff. Give me a topic, I'll think of something.
Exactly.
She hated the fact, she's like, the way you do stuff is what's messing me up.
Oh my gosh, yes. I'm like, you got to come in prepared. Like, it makes me nervous. You don't have a frame? Like, you can't just show up.
Exactly. So he'll go and like talk to our affiliates or like do Zoom. Doesn't even know what he's going to talk about it until he like starts speaking about it. And so I'm like, I don't even know your topic. I don't want to be next to you while you just talk about all the things that you love and know about this. And I'm like, So that's why I stopped.
I'll tell you what you have to do is you just have to start interrupting him. Like Garrett was the same way. And even when we do podcasts, I was like, I try to get a word in. I'm like, yeah. And I finally had to like, hey, you need to let me talk. I have something to say. Like I had to interrupt him for like years before he finally like shut his mouth and would like listen. Like you do have some good things to say. I'm like,
Because we get used to you guys not saying anything, so I'm always filling the dead air. I'm like, oh, she ain't gonna say shit anyway. So I'll just let me talk some more.
On our show at the beginning, people would be like, "Oh my God, Garrett's such an asshole. He talks over his wife all the time." I was like, "Bro, if we just sat here on the show, it'd be silent for 42 minutes." So like,
I had to start interrupting for sure, but
okay, so
Well, that's good because we don't like. I always tell Naj, I know you're growing. I just never know if today is gonna be the day you're gonna really open up or not. Because there's been times she was on a roll, and I went to say something, and I could feel her pinch my leg, like you better not open your mouth right now. So you get that growth it's been incredible to watch the growth. So now I'm like, baby, you go start the talk. But she'll come on, like when she does it, the team loves it because she'll have like a PowerPoint, she'll have the stuff. She'll send them a PDF at the end, some chat GPT note-taking system that like my shit is like, you're lucky you showed up because I forgot to press the record button. So
see, that's like the perfect pair though. Like her strength is your weakness and vice versa. And so I used to always try to be like Garrett. I'd be like, I need to show up with this intensity and like be all warrior-esque. And I'm like, I'm not. I'm that's not me at all. So I just started showing up for who I am and people are like, oh, it's so different and we like it. So I would just say, like, keep showing up what you in your power, who you are, and then you guys like will complement each other like I can see right now.
I love that advice because that's really what we're about. I like you don't want to be me. Matter of fact, if you've seen what's going on in my head right now, you definitely do. You do not want to be me.
I used to say that I wanted to be him all the time.
Yeah, I'm like, no, you don't. Trust me on this. But I said there is more power in us being different. We're going to appeal to a different audience. There's all these pieces to it. And now I see her catching on and becoming more comfortable in herself. But they were saying the same thing to me, Garrett. They were like, you don't ever let her talk. I can tell you control her. I'm like, listen, Sparky, if anyone's controlling anybody, it ain't me controlling her. Not now, anyways. She does whatever she wants. Trust me on this one.
I know. She already started designing that new range for Christmas. So she got permission. We were like, permission granted. Now she's like already created. Okay, so we're going to talk about another topic really tough for entrepreneurs.
Right.
You have two topics that are like, they kind of go in an inch you play, which is doing business together, and then the game of sex and intimacy. Right. So Danielle and I played this we've kind of been in and out. It's been a rough game. We were actually like business partners. Now we have two different companies. We run with two different teams. And we get to just be together. We decided that
we can't
can't really work together. Like there's just too much war zone. She goes in her masculine. I'm in my masculine. We come home and like there's no.
But we can work together like this.
Now we work as strategic alliances.
Yes.
We're like, hey, that's a good idea. Yeah, that sounds good. But working in business together. Now, so I'm going to start with you. Like, you've got a guy who's been in business for a while. He's got lots of opinions about how things should work. You see the world totally different. You offset his weaknesses. He offsets your weaknesses. Mm-hmm. Talk about what your experience has been like in being able to make the transition between, hey, we're in business, and then the transition to, hey, we're lovers and partners. And these are like these two things that we do. How have you been able to navigate that terrain as one?
We talk about everything, first of all. So I have a lot of ideas, or I give him my input about how I feel about things, my opinion, how we should do this and that and blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, I let him make the final decision, but I do press on my points or the things that I like or want heavy. Mm-hmm. He knows this is
I know. I know that do. Basically I better do this or there'll be no sex tonight.
Final decision. So I feel like we work great together mainly because I don't like to be in the front. I like to doing all the other stuff, which to me I feel like it's a lot more work. But it's not more work doing the back.
I love that you like all that stuff. Yeah.
But I don't know. I just prefer you to be this and I be like, oh, yeah, I'm here right next to you. I don't know.
How do you want plug from? Like, so you've got business mode where you're working the backside, John's working the front side, and there's business and there's social media, and then there's like push all that away.
Yeah.
And hey, we're just us. Like,
Do you guys go on date nights and like you're talking about work, or how do you unplug? Because I think it's when we work together, we go on a date night and I'm like, all we're fucking talking about is work. And sometimes it can be like stressful and you're like, I want to have fun. I don't want to be stressed about this topic right now. So how do you guys differentiate or separate, working together and just playing and having fun together?
We definitely have date nights.
Yeah, we definitely have date nights. The only reason business would ever come up is if like there's a big challenge that might be happening like right now. So we might bring it up, but otherwise we don't really talk about it on our date night.
Well, because she got me to the point where like, okay, we're not talking about that. Like before we walk into the restaurant, if we're going out to dinner, like we're not talking about this. This is off limits tonight. Let's talk about us. Before we did this, she sat me down at the kitchen table. And she had me. She's got us writing in these journal things, and which I don't mind.
Shadow work.
Anyway, she's got me like, yeah, and I know, even though I got other shit to do, it's Monday. This is a good time on Monday. It's our busiest day of the week. She's got me doing some gratitude stuff and some stuff about our relationship right before this thing, and I was like, babe, it's Monday. But it doesn't matter. So what? Here's what I got really good at. I got really good at like, okay, this is important to her, and the business is not going to stop if I stop right now and do this. Because I used to be, there's just no freaking way. My kids will tell you when they were growing up, there weren't really family dinners because as soon as the phone rang, I got up from the table. Even if we're at a restaurant, I left them at the table. I walk out and handle business. It also did put them in different zip codes and got them cars at 16, things like that. So I point that side out of it. But what they really want, what everybody really wanted was a connection. Even though for my haters on social media, what she really wants is for me to be around. Everyone's saying, she wants your money. I'm like, well, I would be embarrassed like to have a woman that I went 50-50 with. I don't know. It just seems weird to me. Like a lot of these guys today, there's this new crop that's come up that they are proud of, they're ostentatious in their lack of ostentatiousness. They're proud of nothing. They're proud of like, I wouldn't do shit. I don't do nothing for women. And I'm like, I struggle with that. So I say all the time, the only reason why I ever wanted to get rich was for women. I mean, to be honest, when I was a kid, I caught on pretty quickly. The guys in my neighborhood that had the nicest cars, the biggest rims, they got the biggest women. As I matured, I realized like I want to one day have a family. I want to have a good looking wife, and you know what I mean. All this stuff to me required money, so I really focused. I thought for sure the only way I was gonna have a good life was to have money because I didn't come from money. Yeah. And later on, when I got money, I neglected a lot of the people that I cared about along the way, which was part of the 2 divorce thing prior. So now, what I've learned in my 3rd marriage is we do take this time. And I'm not as high. I know you want to say something. I'm not as high strung as I used to be. I used to be so freaking high strung. And I had this like worry, anxious thing going on in my life because I was worried about it not getting done, worried about this not happening, worried about what it's going to cost me if this deal doesn't happen. I don't worry so much. We'll go to, like you see us in Vegas or Miami, we'll go hard for a weekend. And we ain't talked one time about business. Or we have these snap packs that we do with like tequila sometimes, and that's our promotion for our business. All right, go ahead, babe. See, now she's not an introvert; she's ready.
Like I'm ready.
We warmed her up. She's ready.
I'm going to continue on the topic before go on another.
She's like, bring it back to the question.
Yeah, answer. I'm like, I was going to say it political, but never mind. Let me click that.
Please.
Yeah, the hate mail will start. Go.
We still do talk about business at dinner. Just like if we have specific date night, like I'm dressing up, getting cute. No, we're not doing that here because I don't want that stress while we're trying to be all lovey-dovey and, happy. So we do to have we still talk about business. I allow him phone calls and texts and stuff at dinner at home, unless we are not in the home, then it's a no go.
Yeah, the phone.
That's
the
it.
Phone at the restaurant I found out is anyways. I just don't do it.
That's it.
I love that you guys separated because we'll do the same thing. It's like if I'm getting cute, it's like we put a frame on. We're not talking about work. But if it's a Wednesday and I'm like, yeah, I'm just in my whatever outfit, and we're just going to dinner somewhere quick. Yeah. I know, like, hey, we're going because we need time to talk about these specific things. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important for couples to understand, like, if you have a date night that's a business date night, that's fine. And then you have the fun date night where it's like you just put a frame on it. You're like, hey, we're not going to talk about these topics right now, and we're going to come back to it because then you can really like. I don't know about for you guys, but when we do that, we don't even have to talk that much. We just like hang out and stare at each other and drink tequila. We're just like in the pocket, like having fun and relaxing and connecting. And I think that's oftentimes what couples forget to do, especially producing men, is like, you've got to have those moments of staying connected. If you don't, what are you working for? You know? Mm-hmm. And it's just kind of remembering that because we all kind of get lost in the hustle. And even him and I'll be like, I feel kind of like disconnected. And I'm like, hey, we need to go have an overnighter somewhere. We need to go like just have fun. Like fun feels like this piece of disconnect. So I think it's important as a couple just to recognize like you have to stay in connection if you want to stay married. And even though John, it's your third marriage, you figured that out. And she's that perfect person that can be like, hey, no, I want to be with you. I want time. I always say women's responsibility, especially married to successful men, never apologize for wanting more time. That is our role because the men will only feel connected if they're having that time with us, even if they are workaholics. So I think it's our responsibility to always bring men back to earth and be like, hey, baby, like I need you to be here with me right now, because ultimately that's how you're going to lose your marriage if you don't stay connected like that.
You know, this is such an interesting topic because I'm sure it's the communication is way different if you have a 9 to 5. You go to work, you get off at 5, and it's over. But when we own a business, it's 24/7. Like we could some shit seems to happen at the weirdest times, or there's when you're running a company, like I say, we're constantly putting out fires. That's kind of what we do, and we're good at it. Sometimes we have a team that helps, so we don't have to do it as much as we did. But I can just imagine, like, my first wife, she really wanted a 9 to 5 life. She did not understand my ambition. My ambition just was mind-boggling to her. And she did not want to participate. She's like, why can't you just be, basically like everybody else? And I didn't see that for me. And that's where a lot of our classes started happening. And then I was starting to get, some traction in business. And it just led to this, like we started talking about it. The separation started to become, they got bigger and bigger and bigger. And there wasn't like, oh, let me do something. It was like, no, I refuse. I'm not going to. We have these conversations now, so this is not off limits by any means. It was like, looking back, she now realized what I was trying to do. I'm like, well, if we're going to have kids, first off, we can't have kids in this neighborhood. We cannot raise kids in the neighborhood we grew up in. That was, for me, that was first and foremost. And then we ended up having daughters. I'm like, we have to get the hell out of here. And it was very difficult for her to understand that. Anyway, so
I think the women that like they start to get this like resentment. So then you said like you're doing everything you can, and this comes here, and she's not willing to meet you there because she's resentful that you don't have the 9 to 5. But what she doesn't remember is she didn't sign up for the guy that was 9 to 5. She signed up for the guy that was going to be this ultra entrepreneur. That's what women are attracted to. I did this with Garrett for years. They'd be like, babe, it's 6 o'clock. I wasn't 5, but I was like, it's 6 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock. But what I realized is it wasn't about the 9 to 5. I didn't care when it was. I just needed this connection. So the 9 to 5, especially when you're an entrepreneur, anybody listening to this, you need to just let that shit go. That's not how entrepreneurs work. But it's also important to understand to entrepreneurs that connection it's part of the game. So it doesn't matter when it is with your children, your significant other. It just has to be moments where it's not always business all the time. And it's like, hey, I need to set my phone down or put this away. And that's really the biggest thing Garrett and I have realized for being married for so long, because we're both entrepreneurs. I'm like, our life and schedule is going to be a shit show. So as long as we're not always like stuck in work and we have these moments together, then it works. I love that you just like pointed out, like my wife wanted 9 to 5, because I think it's important to understand that women that think they want their husbands to be that 9 to 5, they have to understand what they signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So benefit from life at the same time. One of the key tenets we struggled with this in our first 10 to 12 years of marriage was the topic of sex. Mm-hmm. Like it's just that there was a withholding, there was like a struggle back and forth with us and trying to figure it out. To the point in 2016, I was like, this marriage is over if this doesn't shift. And Danielle shifted. Now, to her own credit, she came to me last year, a year and a half, almost 2 years ago, and couldn't feel me. I was like, on it, and I was addicted to these feel-free tonics and kratom tonics. I'd gotten off alcohol, I was drinking, but I was kind of numbed out. Still producing, I was super functional in my shit, still building and creating and doing what we were doing, but she couldn't feel me for almost a year and came to me and like ultimatum me almost a year ago and said, if I can't feel you, like,
well, I was like,
I'm not
the
gonna
cars
keep
in the
doing
house
this.
are not enough.
I don't care about the house. You can buy another $24 million house. I don't care. You get $500,000 car. I don't care. I'll lose all good shit if I can't feel you. And so there's been this push, and part of what's reignited in us over the last 6 years has been just a rebirth sexually for us as a couple that turned into something that was like more than just orgasms and fucking. It was like soul level connection and something that mattered. And we do events with men and women. We do pre-surveys before they come in. 80% of entrepreneurial couples struggle with real sexual connection. Like one of them, both sides, women are frustrated about it, men are frustrated about it. How have you two, in just like dealing with this topic as a couple, like what is your frame sexually for you two? Like how does this navigate and work with you two as a couple? Because again, most of the people listening to this show are struggling in this category and they're beautiful people. And you would never know. But behind those doors, when they're with me or with Danielle, they're like, it's a fucking mess. We don't even know how to put this together right now.
You know, it's interesting because I'm only going to speak on my end. Like, the sex life is incredible. The challenge was when we first got together, we were literally having sex 3 times a day, which meant not a lot else was getting done. And eventually, like, I had to mature and realize, like, we got to do other things like eat and
just like sex all day.
yeah, we were like having sex all the time because it was great. So now, and then there's a couple times where we went a day without sex, and Najs was like looking at me funny, like, you don't like me? You don't love me? I'm like, well, shit, because we had sex 3 times a day. Now I got to catch up on all the work I didn't do. So I might need to have a day off of sex. But here's the other, I think the other thing that keeps us spicy, it keeps our sex life alive, is we go, like when we go to Vegas, we're most likely going to end up at a pool party, and now it's going to be in a bikini. The DJ is going to be playing. I'm going to have a shot or two, and I'm like, baby, it is time to hit the ring. It just seems right. And
That's weird. A couple of shots of tequila and your wife in a bikini seems like good timing. That's
like that damn bikini.
I was not going to gut.
I prayed about it. Now is the moment.
Because the thread count is so tiny on her bikini. It's like, babe.
You can't focus on anything else.
And then you see everybody staring at her, and I'm like, yeah, we got to go. It's like,
Naja, the trick is right when you check in, you got to drain them and then go down to the pool.
It's a Danielle's literal
Then you're going to
strategy.
peacefully be drinking your margarita. And you're having
then you have peace.
Peacefully drink my margarita.
She's like, well, now, sometimes she's like, just leave me alone. Gee, we're in the gym, and it doesn't matter where we are. Like, this is my time. Like, I'm in the second half now. I feel like no matter how I look at it, I feel like I'm in the second half of my life. The next half is the best half. And that, for me, that's a big part of it.
Well, now I bought these. They're called sex checks from Amazon because I saw my girlfriend.
This is great. This
use
is a
it with
game
her
changer.
husband. She's an age gap interracial too couple. Anyway, I thought it was funny because she posted one of them, and so I ordered them. And I came next day and I sent it. I gave it to John, and he was so excited.
Yeah, it was
he even posted
she
it on
handed me a
Instagram
check.
as a
Yeah.
reel.
She handed me his check, and at first I'm like, what checking account is it? You have another account? And I'm like,
Oh, it's like an actual check.
yeah, it looks like a check.
How does this work?
Yeah, it'll say like
It'll say IOU, or there's
like a
ones that
blowjob,
say
or
UOB, and there's different ones you could choose. So you could choose which ones you want, and there's like multiple choice also, or you can fill in the blank. And so you can just go through a couple of them, and then you put pay to the order of this person, and then signed by this.
Give him a check, and he gives you a check.
Yeah. So
She has a checkbook, so I'm been lucky. I've been on the receiving end. I'm getting all the checks lately.
I control it because they say I owe you, like I owe him something, or it says you owe me.
Yeah,
He
like
would owe me, so I control it.
Yeah, I think one of them she gave me the other night was like dinner and a movie or something, which is boring, but we'll do that. Check is going to say you
have sex all the time, John. Come on, we talked about this.
Boring. Yeah, no. So I'm telling you that. Like,
the first one was a lap dance, though, so he was so excited. He posted that on Instagram. He put the song "I'm in love with a stripper." I'm like, John.
Yeah, put the song on. Like, we're gonna do this. I'm cashing this check. Like when they say I'm taking out of your ass, literally, I'm cashing this check on your ass.
I like that you control the checkbook though, because Garrett would be like handing me checks. Like,
I know. I don't know where it is. She's got it hidden somewhere in this house.
Don't worry about it.
Because she knows. Because I'll be like, hey, I think it's time you write me another check.
She said, I got to check out my pillow. She's like, that's a Thor's check. I didn't write that.
Yeah, like,
there's two of them he has to cash and he hasn't.
they're right there.
It was an
I can see them right there.
It was an
on this
IOU
stand over here.
Ones.
Yeah. Don't worry, baby. But we were traveling. We were in. Yeah. Yes.
Fun of like
You can. No, it's a lot of fun. Well, we do that. Like we find little games like that. We also sometimes go to wild parties where people are scantily clad and it's kind of the vibe is like that. Not that, and then we have this energy and we go and take it out on each other and it's
it keeps it fun in marriage.
I'm telling you, we talk about doing like role play, like I'll meet you at the club again, pretend like, like we just met and, you sit across the bar and, so we keep it fun. And I think that's a big part of it. And again, because I will now let off the accelerator with other stuff to make sure that this is solid. Cause that was a big part. If I don't do that, then we don't have a relationship. But what people don't realize is she's also like, number one, she's funny. I would say she's like my little Kevin Hart, but she's also a gangster. So she's like Tupac. But
your thoughts go with them.
Well, yeah, because she's like, tell them this. Like you tell them this is our introvert.
The mafia boss.
Yeah, yeah. It's a weird deal because she's a boss. She's a boss, but she wants to be baby all the time. Like, so sometimes I don't know where are you at today? Today, are you running shit, or am I going to cuddle you on the couch and hold your head? You don't know sometimes, but it's been fun, and we have such different perspectives on things. But she's creative, so she comes up with stuff like those checks, and I just go along for the ride.
Part of this we see too is that like women, and Danielle, you talk about this, like guys we'll coach up, and we've coached 65,000 guys in the last 12 years, and the guys will get all excited about this, and Najla and like Danielle, like same thing, like the women aren't necessarily game. I'm not down, so they're not going to want to get in the sex checks. They're not doing these things. And Danielle, the big shift in our marriage came from Danielle, like really embracing this.
So we got married like super young, and then we had this period of like where he was hustling and grinding, and I didn't feel seen or heard, or there was no date nights and any of this. So I just became resentful. I was like, fuck you, like you don't get sex. Like I withheld for sure because that was the space. I was like, I'm getting no time and attention, so like whatever. And then I got to this place where I was just like, well, that doesn't really help me out. Like withholding is not really helping me out. And if anything, it's like making more of a divide inside of our relationship. And so I kind of just got to this place because we had all these bad behaviors that we had built together being married. You guys have not done that. You're still freshly married and you haven't adopted these bad habits and patterns. And we did. And I was like, well, I have to take ownership that this is partially my fault. And so I was like, fuck it. I'm just going to become a stripper in the bedroom. And I literally just took on responsibility for myself. I was like, I want to have good sex. I want to have fun. And he would get lost in work and days would go by. So now I was like more the pursuer. I was like more of the engager. And what's crazy is when I flipped the narrative and I flipped that switch, all of a sudden he wanted to go on date nights. All of a sudden he asked how my day was because he was being emotionally seen and heard and fed through sex. It was a form of communication for men. Men need sex. And so when I finally stopped, like flip the narrative And it was just all of a sudden my needs were being met. And we kind of slowly like figured out this rhythm. And now like sex is really fun for us now. And people are like, how did you do it? Because very few couples that we've met can get to that place and almost get to this place where we're like, we almost feel like we're kind of like dating and spicy again, right? But it took both of us being able to be like, okay, this is a need, but it's actually a need for both of us. And it's very important in marriage. So even today, like if it's like been a couple of days, I'm like, do you not see me? Come on. Like, I'm really hot. Like it's been a couple of days. What's wrong with you? Like, I'm almost like offended. Like that's where women get. We're like, hello. Like I have to walk my dogs and like flash him or something. Like, okay, come on.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. So I saw this beautiful place that you guys are going to be moving into in Miami. Looks incredible. So my question is there a stripper pole in the new place? The mansion. Did you budget for the stripper pole?
We haven't put it in yet.
We have talked about the stripper pole. Like she took this full on.
I was like, how do you explain that to your daughters? Because we have young kids. Like I can see my little 2-year-old coming around like, this is fun, mommy. I'm like, you have no idea.
Oh, I forgot to make it down. Hurry.
We're down with the constant cock blockers. So like you gotta imagine we've got a 3-year-old who will come running out of our bedroom holding sex toys, running down the hallway. What are these guys? What are these? And then Anthony should look over like Jesus. So yes, we talked about the stripper pole. We're just trying to figure out how to intercept the toddlers that want to come and be part of everything.
You might have to give one like a button, the hidden thing where it comes retractable. Yeah.
Retractable.
Yeah.
Retractable. Yeah.
that part, and like that's a piece you guys have right now. This is so beautiful. Like it's like one of my close clients is like their life is on fire. I was with him when he was married to another woman, and it was a horrendous experience. So I was with him like 6 years, and then he got divorced, and then he met this other woman, and they're just on fire. So giving you a chance to start over and getting to see a new version. So Naj, I'll tell you right now, I guarantee you, John that I'm talking to you right now is not the John was like 5, 6, 7 years ago. This dude you have carved out. One of our friends, Mark Jennison and Kendra Jennison, are on the comeback, and she uses this phrase all the time. My job as a woman is to be a gold digger. My job is to mine the gold out of my man and get him to a place where he's not just willing, he is leaned in with an obsession of being in my world. My job is to push him to grow, push him to create. Yeah, there you go.
Obsessed.
Are you blasting on? You're not blasting on your chest. I was like, man, you're running out of territory, John. You have to slow down. No.
My whole back is covered. My chest. Naj would let me do my stomach yet until I'm completely ripped there. She said. So I have to get my 6-pack has got to be like really ripped before I can do that. But that's it. My leg. Yeah, I'm covered.
Yeah. So last question, last topic. Like God for us was like a thing. We were raised in Mormonism. We left Mormonism in 2009. And then we just kind of went on our own path for like 15 years. And then we kind of both found our own path right now. Like we're both investigating Scientology right now, really enjoying that process. It's amazing, like super powerful. People, a lot of stories about it. It's like whatever to us. We don't really care what anyone thinks. I've gone down psychedelic path for 3 or 4 years. She didn't want to participate in any of that. Meditation retreats, shamans. Like I've just tried everything to try to find connection inside myself. And we've gotten to a really, really powerful place as a couple. And kind of both seeing the world very different, but also seeing it in the same place. Where does the conversation of God or spirituality fit into your relationship?
Let me start on this and then have you finish. Because I've always been on this weird spiritual. It always felt like something missing. I didn't grow up in my parents. My mom left when we were really young. My dad was either at work or at the bar, so there wasn't a whole lot of talk about, religion. But my grandmother was convinced that I was going to be a priest. She used to call me Father John, and she got me a gig at the local Catholic church as an altar boy. Now that seems really great and very wholesome, except for I was young and I didn't do so good because I wasn't good at paying attention to the steps. Like when you come out and like, when do I hand the water? It was all these steps and I would screw it up. Anyways, the point of the story is the Catholics would light the candles with these long sticks and they would put money in this slot. I discovered as a young person that you could take that same stick and you could jam it in that slot and the money will come out the bottom of the And Open Pantry was right down the street. And I used to love Reese's peanut butter cups and Kit Kats. So needless to say, my path to priesthood didn't quite work out because I go to church and I got fired from one of the early gigs, which, Grandma, I apologize. But I've always been on this, like I've been, like you name it, from Jehovah's Witness. I've been to the Kingdom Halls, to the Quran, the Torah, all, Pentecostals. I used to love the Pentecostal church when I had little kids because they could just go in there and go out. They're playing the drums, or catching spirit. My kids are out of control. I'm probably on the phone in the back. Everything was it was different, but I did all this stuff. Najs has a completely different relationship with religion that she grew up with, but that was where I was at. And then there was a point where I said, F this. Everyone tells me I'm going to hell anyways. And I kind of, I ended up with 2 felonies, I had a major drug problem. But finally, I think the lack of me trying to find a religion and more of me kind of like saying, okay, like I have the Bible over here. I've been reading Proverbs because someone told me this dude was the richest man in the world. I'm like, well, he might have some good shit to say. So I go in there, I start reading these Proverbs, and the stuff is pretty good. It's good, useful information for other things, for all kinds of things. Anyways, tell your side of it.
Yes.
Because hers is a lot different.
So I grew up in Islam, and my mom was very strict growing up, and she had 6 daughters also.
Wow.
And it was just very strict. Everything was. And she's also from the islands, which made it worse. And as I got older, I just thought, I don't know, it just didn't really make much sense, mainly because the parts were kind of like racist. So I was like, I live in Scottsdale. I don't know, it was weird to me. And I knew, or I felt, I needed something. And John was involved in a church that was non-denominational, a Christian church. And I would go there and I thought it was nice. I liked the message and it made me feel good.
When I moved to Scottsdale, I said, if I'm going to go to a church, the pastor's got to be someone that I would have a beer with. Like I would go watch a UFC fight and drink a beer with. And the very first church we go into is a church called Impact Church, and this pastor, Travis. And it wasn't long after that, because he didn't know he had a test. It wasn't long after that, he was at my house watching a UFC fight with me. I don't know if I know I drank a beer. He might have. I probably did. But anyway, so Pastor Travis and Andre Wadsworth, who played for Arizona Cardinals for 14 years, him and I became really close friends. And that really helped, because it was never like a pushy thing. We go there on Sunday. We love the band is playing and the message is always good. And you don't feel like you're being taught. Like when I was going to church a lot, I would feel like they're talking down to you. Mm-hmm. Like, it was always, again, it was always like, you're going to hell. And then someone said, John, you're going to heaven. I'm like, well, what do you know that these other clowns don't know? I want to hang out with you. I'm sick of these people. And it was that shift for us. So we and
it's relatable to like everyday stuff.
Yeah, Travis just does he just does a great job.
This just happened to me yesterday. Oh, my sister needed to hear this today. We're like,
because he deals with real stuff, and he acknowledges like that people are going through some real stuff. Sometimes you walk in these environments and it's like, okay, that's great for you, but that sure ain't working in my house. But you get it. So all those words to
Yeah. Getting the right pastor makes a big difference. We have 2 pastors here in California who really like from Oceans Church, Mark Francie, Pastor Mark Francie, and then Pastor Dr. Matt Hubbard from Awaken Church. Both have been massive in our world, but the same characteristics that you guys are finding there. We're finding this with inside of our groups, and we're at a huge Bible study every week. It was it's filled with John, just you and me. It's all dudes like us that we're fringe guys who want a relationship with God. I want to feel powerful. I want to feel connected, but I want it to be practical. I want it to matter. I don't want to be told I'm a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I'm a creator in this. God loves me in this. How do I create from this place in a powerful way? And it's been helped. I mean, she does a very different path. I came to Christ 3 years ago for me. That was very powerful, real for me in a real way. And she has a different perspective on it. Like I said, we're investigating Scientology right now, which freaks a whole bunch of people out. But when I was doing psychedelics, it was freaking a bunch of people out. So this piece, so for us as a couple, just a spiritual component of being able to feel soul connected to this higher power. It like just
I think it's like whatever works for you, whatever feels light. If you go, for me being raised Mormon, I never felt like the spirit. I never felt connection. I never felt connected. And so, we've gone to so many other churches where I'm like, oh, okay, this feels the direction I should go. So I don't think it necessarily matters. I think that everybody has their designed path, and ultimately it's like what feels right for you and feels light. Because ultimately, that's what you radiate. Is when you get in your lane and you feel that light, people see it. Like, John, you look different. Najda, you look different. You're like, yeah, because I'm filled with light, and now I'm going to push that forward to other people. So we always like to bring this up in the podcast because and so many people kind of land on the same topic of like, it's more of like a spirituality within yourself.
Mm-hmm. Well, listen, we have loved having you guys on the show today. Talk to them a little bit about what you guys have going on with OSNAP. And where they can follow you guys on social media. We're going to post like a link down below, but give us the frame on this company that you guys are running together and what it's about, and then we'll wrap the show up for today.
Well, part of the reason we are having sex so much lately is because we've been in a transition with OSNAP. we finally bought out our partner. We had a partner, manufacturing partner, business partner that we bought out. That's been a long process. So a lot got put on hold. Because he owns the manufacturing facility. So manufacturing stopped, so we ended up on back orders. We couldn't keep up with. Anyways, all that doesn't matter anymore because last week we finally signed a deal that brought it completely to us. So and we are in California this weekend, and we're working on cutting some pretty big deals. We just have faith that all this stuff is going to work out. We have a great community. We have an incredible company. We got products that do what they say they're supposed to do. We also, in that process, we started another company, another supplement company called Live Great, which we got a hydration product. It's more than just hydration. It's a pretty extreme product that we're proud of, that we built together based on every morning we would wake up and do certain things for hydration to start the day off. Salt, minerals, things like that. So we said, why don't we just create that instead of piecing it all together in the house? So we created that probably in 2 or 3 weeks. That should be done. We got a meeting right after this, as a matter of fact, about that to finish all that up. We just keep launching stuff. We've got a few offers on the table for a bunch of different cool projects that we're considering. And I got 2 books that have been started. I wrote 2 other books. They're terrible books. You don't want to buy them. Use them. If you buy them, use them for fire kindling. But these next 2, I think, are going to be a little better. So excited about that.
Yeah. So if you want more information about any of
that was the
things,
part. The call to action. That was the important part. Buy shit from us. You need to get call to action.
He's like, let me realistic for you, babe.
So we're like,
thank you. See why she's here?
It down.
Yeah. So if you want more information on any of those things, it would probably be best to find us on social media. More importantly, Instagram. We have Facebook as well, but at NajMalott, Naj Malott, or at
John.Malott, Malott. Those are the best places. And then link in the bio, and then once you're in the tractor beam,
you'll see it.
We're gonna tell you something.
We have loved having you 2 here. We'll make sure all the links are up there for all the products you guys have going on, as well as when your books come out. We'll have it in a promo for you to the book too. Danielle has a book coming out that she's working on next year too, called God Is Your Ghostwriter. So we're excited for her to have her first book. You two have been amazing. And Najla, as the time went on, I knew it would happen. The firecracker came out. It took us about 30 minutes, and there you were. We loved having you. Love that you two are here together, being on the show together, and being here with us. We're happy for both of you. From the first photos I saw of you doing videos, I was like, that's a spicy couple, good for both of them. And you've confirmed everything I originally anticipated when I saw pictures and videos. You guys, before we were doing the show with you here, just like 4 or 5 months ago. So my friends, thank you so much for being here. And for all of our guests listening to the show, this is another episode of the HY Podcast. Again, remember, we have a backbone inside of this process of education that we've been used for 12 years, guiding men and women to personal power and production in a massive way. If you haven't learned much about Wake Up Warrior, where you're getting an example of what that looks like. These kind of dialogues and conversations, they're real, they're raw, they're focused on results. You can check out by going to wakeupwarrior.com today.
All right, guys, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning into the Day You Right podcast. And as always, if you found value in this podcast, which I absolutely know you did, share it with your friends. So thank you guys so much for being on the show today. If you're in Miami, hit us up. We'll go to dinner. You guys are fun to get to know, and I'm sure even funner in person. So thank you guys so much again for being on the show. And that's it for another episode of the Day You Right podcast.
Thank you guys.